Welcome back to Nicholas's Comic Corner, Classic Lesson Non-Classics. This is episode number 1793 and Doubleshot number 1687. I have two Marvel trades, and here's the interesting thing about these two trades. These are the last trades discussed for two crossovers. The first one was released in 2006. We have the third, and from what I can tell, the final trade for Annihilation. This book collects the main miniseries Annihilation plus a couple other things. It also collects the Annihilation Herald of Galactus miniseries, and it also collects the profile book for Annihilation. Yep, it was a Nova Corps Annihilation. Now, here's the thing when it comes to Annihilation that people may not know. Because of the fact this is the era of the rise of Dan Abnett and letting with the sci-fi stuff, you're probably thinking, oh, did they work on the main miniseries? No, they never did. That was all Keith Giffen who did that. Which I believe this was the second ever crossover he ever did for the book. Yep, it is. It is the second ever one he ever did. And yes, this is the last one to discuss for Annihilation. I've already discussed Road Annihilation Volumes 1 and 2. A complete collection I don't need to discuss because, well, I have these books here. So this is the last thing discussed for Annihilation. Mostly anyway, so there is also Annihilation Classic. I just to collect some early stuff for the characters who appear in this very story. Now, in the case of basically what major things happen in this very book, like, this is just after the Annihilation Prelude, where aside from, like, they have basically everything leading to basically what goes on here. Like the fact that Annihilus is behind everything, and Dinos is working for him just to satisfy Lady Death. And we have a series of characters coming together to battle Annihilus. Yes, Annihilus. Led by Nova. Yes, Richard Rider Nova. Which seems quite strange, given the fact he doesn't lead the Guardians of the Galaxy, which comes just a couple years after this. The main stars of this book, the main heroes mostly, are him, Drax, Silver Surfer, Ronan Hughes, who actually comes in the book, and surprisingly, Super Skrull plays a small role in this book, along with Moondragon and Cyville. Yep. There's also a little bit here with Quasar. Yep, Quasar. Now, you probably noticed in the cover that Galactus is in this book. Oh yeah, he plays a role in this book. And early on in the main miniseries, he gets captured by the force of Annihilus. And he's held captive by them for about half the miniseries, until he's free to take on Annihilus because he's like the only guy who can take him on. And toward the end of the miniseries, basically Drax kills Thanos, says, I've been my programming. Kill Thanos. How? Mortal Kombat style. Rip out heart. Yep. And of course, Annihilus kills Quasar. Then Nova kills Annihilus at the end of the miniseries. Yep, he kills Annihilus. Though they reveal at the very end, Annihilus lives. Yep. Yeah. Because that's a weird thing about Annihilus. He will come back for some strange reason. I don't know why. And there's stuff leading into it, like at first you had the United Front, was basically the combination of like a lot of the galactic superheroes along with various alien races to come together under the banner of Nova in order to avenge the deaths of these various worlds. Doesn't work out, so he disbands the United Front, takes a smaller group of people just to go behind enemy lines to kill the leadership. And that's proven a lot more successful than bringing a humongous army along. And also, Battlestar's in the book too. He doesn't really do anything, surprisingly. And you're thinking, really? He doesn't? Yeah, he does it for some strange reason. It's completely unknown exactly why he doesn't do much of anything, but he doesn't. Yeah. But this event is so fun. And you're probably curious though, do these deaths in this miniseries get undone? Quasar takes a little bit of a while to come back. Yeah, he stays dead for a little while. Yes. He stays dead until an issue of Nova. Yep. It was actually about a couple years he stayed dead. Annihilus, of course, brought back right away. Thanos stayed dead surprisingly for about 3 years. Yep. He stayed dead for 3 years. Until it was brought back at the end of the Dan Abbott ending landing run for Guardians of the Galaxy. That's when he was brought back. Okay. Also, the only image that they have in here is Super Skrull's son. He stays dead. He does not come back at all. But yeah, like the three major deaths, Annihilus, who gets brought back into the miniseries. Of course, he stays dead the shortest period of time, like 4 or 5 pages. While in the case of everybody else, comes back, it takes a little bit longer. Like Quasar, it takes him about 2 years to come back. And, of course, basically Thanos, like 3 years. But in the case of what happens to Galactus afterwards, he's more hungrier, so his hunger is worse than was before. Probably because he wasn't an plant at this point in time. Yeah. And the event does lead into, of course, Star-Lord does appear in the book, but he's not the star. He's the star in the very next book, mind you, yes. Now, it does lead into the very next event, Annihilation Conquest, which came out the following year in 2007. Well, this book was released in November 2005, and it was concluded in May 2007. Annihilation Conquest was released later that year. I will review basically that particular book at a later date. Don't worry about that. Yep. Yeah, don't worry, because this one's also just as good as well. Yep. And is there any major books that were launched in the aftermath of this event, Annihilation? Yes. Nova got a new ongoing series. First time at this point in about 7 years. Ever since the cancellation was briefed by Eric Larson. This run managed to last for 36 issues, which makes it the longest run for Nova to date. And out of all the volumes for Nova, still this one's the longest. Not even the run that was relaunched a couple years after this one was concluded. The one started by Jeff Loeb and concluded by, I think it was by Gary Duggan, I think it was. Where that book basically lasted for 31 issues before it was relaunched. And it lasted for 11, but basically, overall, the shortest volume has got to be volumes 3 and 6. 6? Yeah. Yeah, 3 and 6. Basically, it was 3 with 7 issues and 6 with 7 issues. Yep. I mean, it's great, though. This event did lead to the most successful Nova run to date. And Nova's still around, so don't worry about that. He's not dead. Drax, of course, has died and come back to life. Thanos is, well, we'll get to more to that. Oh, and as of currently, who is dead appeared in this crossover? Only 2 people are currently dead who appeared in this very crossover. Galactus, who was killed at the end of the first story arc for Donny Coulson for Thor. Annihilation, and of course, Ronan the Accuser was killed in issue 3 of Death of the Humans. And both books have one thing in common. Both written by Donny Coates. Yep, so Donny Coates killed off 2 characters who were created by Stan Lee and the late Jack the King Kirby. Yep. Well, the other one happened just a couple years ago. Death of the Humans, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, I think that was. Yep. Then they turned him a cyborg and he was killed by Black Bolt at his request. Yeah. Annihilation Book 3, 10 out of 10. Really good book. Alright, next up it is Chaos War. Dead Avengers. Oh, any final thoughts I have about Annihilation before I talk about this one? An absolute really good crossover, very underrated. And it was a crossover that was overshadowed by Civil War 1. Yes. If you're a Marvel fan, if you don't like Civil War, read Annihilation. It's a heck of a lot better of a story than Civil War 1. Now, Chaos War is another type of story like that. Released in late 2010, concluded early 2011. Now, this trade here is the last one discussed also for Chaos War. This collects Chaos War Dead Avengers, issues 1 through 3, and 2, and one other miniseries publishing here. There is Civil War Ares, which is a one-shot, Chaos War Thor, and material from Curse Moon Spotlight. Now, Chaos War Avengers is done by Fred Van Lin, art by Tom Gremmett. Chaos War Ares is done by Michael Evan Deming. Chaos War Thor, yes, Thor had mini-series time. This biggest book had nothing to really do with this. Was done by Jane Lamottius and art by Brian Shane. The Curse Mutant Spotlight, the writer is Duggan Trigan and art by Spring Hatling. Now, during the opening issues of Chaos War, the Avengers were knocked unconscious, so basically they brought back 6 dead Avengers. Captain Marvel, Deathcry, the Female Yellow Jacket, the Swordsman, Dr. Druid, and the Vision. Though this book did lead to the second ever death of Captain Marvel. Yep. And also second time that Vision is destroyed. Yep, and the main villains of this miniseries are the Grim Reaper and Nocturna. I think her name is Nakira, I think her name is. And the villains both died at the end of the miniseries, though they will come back afterwards. But in the case of everybody else, Vision, of course, him and Captain Marvel were killed. Like, Captain Marvel was killed off in issue 2 by the Grim Reaper being stabbed, and of course, Vision basically blew himself up to kill Grim Reaper. Deathcry was named to Lifecry, and she's still around, but they don't really bring her back. Swordsman, for some strange reason, despite the fact he died, they don't really confirm exactly what happened to him, the Female Yellow Jacket, or Dr. Drew. They do confirm he is still alive, as late as the Mark waited on for Doctor Strange. Now, how all these people die? Now, in the case of some of these characters, Swordsman died back in the 70s. Captain Marvel died in the 1980s. Dr. Drew and Yellow Jacket got killed back in the 1990s. They do bring up in the book basically how she was killed by Iron Man when he was possessed by Kang the Conqueror. Well, Mortalis. Deathcry. She died in... She actually died in Annihilation Conquest. Yep. Yeah, died in Annihilation Conquest when she died in issue 2. I will discuss that. It was Annihilation Conquest Star-Lord. So, yeah. And they have basically come together under the Avengers banner, and they're led by Captain Marvel. Now, the thing is, she knows who Captain Marvel is. Knows who Dr. Drew is, the Vision, Lifecry. But Swordsman, she'd never met before because he was killed. Dr. Drew refused to reveal exactly what happened to him. Read the Drew miniseries. But isn't it weird, though, that of all people who started this miniseries, that only Dr. Drew is still the only one that's still confirmed alive, and the Vision was since brought back, of course, yes. But I found it to be kind of weird. Like, Dr. Drew's alive and well. The Swordsman is, well, dead once again thanks to Civil War issue 5. Yeah, he's dead again. Probably time to be dead. Deathcry also is back being dead as well. Yep. The Female Yellow Jacket. She is dead too. Yep. Still dead. Yeah, I don't know why. Apparently they had their die off screen for some strange reason. But Dr. Drew, oh, he's still very much alive. Yeah, he was basically brought back in Squadron Supreme. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's when they brought the character back. He actually died in Dream number 4. Mm-hmm. And you gotta thank Warren Ellis for basically killing him off. Yeah, some people might see him as like a low-rent character. Heck, Doctor Strange, even though he was alive until the Doctor Strange Surgeon Supreme book. And he's the only person in this book, aside from the Vision, who's still very much alive. And he appears as recent as Marvel's number 4. Yep. Now, Vision, of course, basically was brought back the following... Well, basically, after Fear itself, rebuilt, and still around, though they did change his look here. This look here is basically for when he died from issue 500. He was killed during Avengers Assembled. That's when he died. Deathcry, Annihilation Conquest, Dr. Doom's own miniseries, Captain Marvel in a one-shot called The Death of Captain Marvel. He died probably by far the most least violent way possible. Cancer. While in the case of these others, they were murdered. Yeah. The Vision was basically ripped in half by She-Hulk. Yeah. Great miniseries, Civil War Dead Avengers. By far, the miniseries I really wanted to read while doing these reviews. It is so fun reviewing these things. It is also shocking, though, that he never got a chance to meet his children. And the weird thing is, like, Jenville surprisingly came back to life recently. His daughter is dead, but his only child left alive is Hulkling. Yep. Now, Chaos War Ares. This one is simply put... Now, I'm not going to show it here for some reason that the artists are going to show Ares died, though instead of ripped in half, they have basically his arm ripped off by frickin' Sentry. Yes. So they kind of explain how he comes back here in this one shot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not the only one shot they released. There's also one for Alpha Flight, but that was collected in another trade. Mm-hmm. And I believe this crossover was responsible for reviving him. Mm-hmm. Was it? No. He was brought back a little bit later after this one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was actually brought back about 7 years later in Contest Champions. So he's brought back for this one story. Really good one shot. Just explains it with Nightmare. Really good. I thought it was a lot of fun. Chaos War Thor. And here's something. It's written by J.M. DeMatteis, which is interesting to say at least because he barely does anything much anymore for Marvel. Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically it's kind of what Thor is up to off screen. Him running into Jane Foster again. And stuff, basically him battling a bunch of aliens. Yeah, have basically him turn back to Donald Blake briefly again for this miniseries. Really good book. Not bad. I like Chaos War Avengers better. Mm-hmm. After all that, and that was pretty much it. Yeah, the book itself was really... the Chaos War Thor book, it's okay. But aside from the main miniseries, these books I consider to be really good books for this event. Chaos War Dead Avengers. Chaos War X-Men. The Incredible Hulk's issues. Ares actually is a pretty good issue. God Squad simply just explores and revive God Squad, basically what they're up to during the whole event. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. But I believe with this crossover, yeah, with this book here, I'm pretty much done with Chaos War. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a bit shocking to say the least, the fact that this is the last thing to discuss for Chaos War, because I've reviewed all the rest of the trades, like the main miniseries, Incredible Hulks, Chaos War X-Men. Yeah, with this, I'm done with Chaos War. Yep. So you probably think, okay, is there any other major crossovers left to go for Marvel that come out since I'm reading comics? Like for main miniseries, like one left, and that's Annihilation Conquest. Yep, that is the only one left. A lot of the other ones I've already got done so far. Mm-hmm. But in the case of stuff related to Marvel, I enjoy reading the crossovers. Some I consider pretty bad, but some are pretty good. Chaos War, absolutely fun event. And one of those events that fell into the radar because other stuff happened at this period of time. Because this one basically, from 2010 to 2012, basically Marvel was putting out a lot of events. Like in the year 2010 alone, these fallings have happened just this particular year. You have Realm of Kings, Siege, Ultra Comics Doomsday, that was a series and miniseries, World War Hoax, Thanos Imperative, Shadowland, this event, and that is it. So basically, you have one, two, three. Yeah, 5 events in 1 year. That's a lot. Yes, a lot. And in 2011, you had Age of X, Fear Itself, Spider Island. You had 3. Surprisingly, 2012 only had 1 event, AVX. Some years had 2 or 3. And I'm glad the fact Marvel's really trimmed down on crossovers. Yes. They may do a couple per year, but at least not doing frickin' 5. Yes. But Chaos War, I do recommend checking it out because it's a very underrated event. I feel as though. What about you? Check it out. Okay, so that's episode of you. Next one's going to be Skeletons of the World. Okay, next video. Bye.